Guys, welcome back to a new segment we're starting where we bring you potentially a business or, of course, one of my affiliates who send me a subject and I go in and I try to make it make sense for you. Now, Jamarcus, he submitted 10 particular topics and we want to make sure that we go and follow Better Best Dog on all platforms. And if you know by now, he helps run the camera. He manages the camera. He keeps this thing rolling. He now knows how much work I've done over the years, which is a beautiful thing. And at times when he's seen my other terabytes with the kids, he says, man, how did you do this? It had to be done. Very simply put. So today's topic is mentorship. And again, it's brought to you by Better Best Dog. I believe he's got a Better Best TV thing he's working on, amongst other great things, as we all contend to stay work on being cohesive. Cohesive means how relevant can we be, and what's the work look like? So, what does it mean to be a mentor? For one, it means to be a leader. My God, you know how hard it is to lead the blind. And who's blind? People who show up oftentimes and think they know everything. Or they ask you a question, they don't really want to know the answer, but they just want to get you talking. And I can, pick those out very quickly. Jamarcus, I believe, and mind you, this lends an opportunity for me to do what? Do an episode with him on mentorship. So the next one will probably be him and I sitting down as he tells you a little bit about his story. But originally he reached out. He said, man, I want to get into fitness. And I know that's your thing. So I said, well, pull up to the gym. That's normally my response. I want to hear nothing else. I hadn't seen him in quite some time, but I've known him for over 15 years now. And when he gets there, he tells me about this idea of being a personal trainer. I said, that's a bad idea, man. I said, why would you do that? The world, not Kansas City, where we're from. I said, the world doesn't need another personal trainer. And now, mind you, someone has this dream. They just got into fitness. They're exercising. They come and they see you. And the first thing out of your mouth is, that's a bad idea. You could get into your feelings. You could be like, oh, he's wrong. You could get on Instagram and be like, well, I like what he's doing. That's a bad idea. It's not a good idea, buddy. And he heard what I said. And even more importantly, we began to assess his body. And he realized from serving over the years and doing various things and playing hockey, I think more than anything, he had some shoulder problems. I said, well, let me show you something. Push up changed his life. Shoulder press changed his life. Him being, Mark's about $160 and some change and getting up to 200 plus pounds, it changes the way other people see him. But because of that short stint of dedication and being motivated by someone, he realized very quickly, for one, he reached out to the right person, but that he needed to open his mind. And that's what a mentor does. A mentor, oftentimes, if you're open-minded and you really do need mentorship, you think of things this way, they think of it another way. And in both ways, neither one's wrong, but they help guide and redirect and, drive a little bit more purpose that you might not have had, be it they live and die in said category. In this case, it was fitness. Now, Jamarcus then moves down. Let me slow down and tell you this from a mentorship standpoint. I had to trust not in Jamarcus, but what I had built, because I get an opportunity to go work with the military. That's a true story. Dan Medina, a guy which I went to high school with, he joined the Marines. He says, Trev, man, I want the Marines to feel that T-fit. I'm like, Dan, I don't live there anymore. There's nothing I could do for you. And so I said, Jamarcus, you're going to have to go in and work these guys out. I remember Dan calling me after. He says, man, they loved it. They loved it, Trev. How do we get more of this? I said, bro, there's nothing I could do for you. It unfortunately had to end there. But because of, again, my strict processes, my systems and training, it was able to, I believe at the time, and that's Maul in the background, don't even worry about it. Oh, man. At the time, I believe it even gave Jamarcus a little bit more faith in itself, right? This is why this is such a beautiful thing, because anything can happen at any moment in time. And fast forward, he then sees, you know what, I do need guidance. And then I basically put someone on the table. He says, man, I want to do some T-fit stuff here in Kansas City. I said, you'd be wasting your time. You need to just move to Texas. And he made that leap. It took a leap of faith. Very stressful time, which, again, we'll dive into. But then he separated again, right? So mind you, I see him when I'm a teenager. I see him a few times when we get a little bit older. I see him one more time in literally in less than a year. He does some T-fit stuff, and by the time I moved to Dallas, he was moving right behind me, right? And then he's like, whoo, this is too much. Then 2 years? Yeah. 2 years, doesn't see me at all, calls me a few times, because the irony is, even when you maybe had a disagreement or he wasn't there mentally, when it was time to make a good decision or deal with some tough times, he has to call the person that has more faith and belief than anybody. So even still, I'm still mentoring. And again, I will allow him to tell all parts of his story at some point. But I got the calls when things were going wrong. And I got the calls when things needed to be better. And I kept giving advisement. And then eventually I said, hey, I need to spot the crash, ask and see if that's okay. And it brought things back full circle. And in full circle, one of the first, I think, real honest conversations we had to have, again, mentoring, I said, man, what are you doing? And he had to assess and come to the conclusion that he had been losing. And I'm speaking for him, but he didn't know that losing wasn't a bad thing. So you put this pressure on yourself as a man that you can't fail, right? And part of being successful is actually failing fast so you can figure out how to get to success. Otherwise, you could just keep running in the wall because of pride and ego. I don't want people to know this didn't work. Look, if it don't work, it don't work. If we have a bad idea and we have to shift, we just got to shift. It's that simple, right? So in this case, when we look at a mentor, I would tell you to look for a few things, all right? One thing is someone who's clear-headed, someone who's non-judgmental, and then someone who, for one, has experience in that space or genuinely, truly wants what's best for you. You ask Jamarcus, Stan, and even when I talk to Maul different times, I don't need anything from these guys. If anything, I need that space to create and continue to do what I do best and do well, and that's be myself. Past that, that's why we got here, is because I've chosen to be something most people don't understand. So when Jamarcus calls, or he's here most times and he's asking questions about this and that, I have people smarter than me, but even more importantly, he trusts my better judgment, and that's because I would never steer him wrong, and I would never require him to do something that just served me. It's like this serves all of us. Even when I tell him, look, hold the camera, I'll do the rest. Now, he does the editing. He helps train the dogs. He walks the dogs. He does a lot of good stuff, but this is kind of like getting your wings, right? You got to get your wings. You got to grow. So I asked him even, what's your 10,000 hour plan? And he said, well, what's that look like? Well, 10,000 hours of mastercraft. We do dogs. What does 10,000 hours of work look like? And everything. Rewind. I forced him to learn to build websites. And there was a lot of missteps at times. I think one time we looked up, there was over $1,000 in an account because we had sold so many shirts and it wasn't linked to the bank account. I mean, you just look up. He went from missing steps to making sure he stays on top of it. And that doesn't mean we won't have challenges at times, but at least he knows kind of where to start and where to finish. So when he says, Better Best Dog is bringing this topic to you guys, mentorship, he's still being mentored by myself, Jamal, my guy Rich. He gets in a room with Craig, and we all keep bringing up Parker because that's a 34-year-old guy who's so well put together. You go listen to those episodes, the context, the way in which he frames things, he makes it make sense, and it just doesn't get simpler than. Even he's like, and you see, I just took you through that exercise. He really is deliberate in how he get you to be better. Literally. I mean, I've only met a few people like me, and he's one of those people where you go, I'm going to get better being around guys like Parker. And guess what? I'm like, Maul, you got to meet him. Jamarcus, you got to meet him. And I remember the first time Jamarcus met him, it was eye-opening for him. And he goes, wow, man, how do you even know these people? That's a funny question. I think the same thing with Jamal, I would say is, he goes back to, how do you guys meet these people? And I got to be honest, I couldn't tell you directly because I never went out seeking them. But, you do cling to which is good. So mentorship, it is a journey. It is a never-ending journey. It's, to a degree, like having a child or children, per se. And in the dog space where if you've watching from Fit Bully TV, then a lot of people message me because they've watched and learned a lot and applied a lot. And indirectly, I've become their mentor, their motivation, their inspiration, their guide to being the best pet achievers and pet parents possible. So I can't thank you guys enough for listening and watching. This is some small segments we're going to bring as we continue to try to get you guys to just engage more and keep an open mind. But again, fast forward, we'll do an episode where we get to really, and probably just throw Jamal in here too, so we all just knock it out. Talk about what it means to be mentored. If you're Black African American, put your pride aside. If you do find someone who just like has your best interest at heart, learn from them. If they don't want anything but you to be better, please listen. And you might learn something most importantly about yourself. It has been a journey. And after 8+ years, as I made a post, Jamarcus has grown at least 5%. And that in itself is its own reward. So continue to take care of your dogs, people. As I said, please go and watch Better Best, dog. Follow him on all platforms. Better Best TV's coming. He's finding his brand, identifying his lane, trying to execute and grow in this climate we're creating. It's like it feels like at times like a forest fire. You see them dropping water, and it's just fire just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's spreading like wow. It's just spreading, right? Got to get out of your home. That's the goal, is to set this whole world on fire with the right bin. And I do think we're on the right path. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Like, comment, share. This is going to be a whole nother segment that we've created so we can keep inspiring you to be the best you could be.